God's Representative by Benjamin Krem's Master. A Master Speaks, Volume 1, page 115. Whenever man is bereft of hope, seeing no way forward, no way to solve his problems, he sets up an instinctive cry for succor, an appeal to God to help him in his anguish. Thus it was during the war years earlier this century that the travail through which humanity was passing invoked the Christ, called him forth once more into the world. Never before, through all vicissitudes, has so much depended upon his coming, for never before has man controlled such forces of destruction. Today, the nations are divided as ever. Each claims to be the repository of the world's wisdom, offering men the choice between freedom and justice. How absurd it is that men must be proffered such a choice. Freedom and justice are divine, and that divinity is indivisible. There can be no freedom without justice, no justice bereft of freedom. Shortly, men will be offered the opportunity to end forever this travesty of truth, and so heal the breach between the nations. It requires but the simple realization that all men are divine, and have the same divine right to share in God's gifts and plans. Lacking such realization, men would know no peace. When men see the Christ, they will realize that they are not alone, that God's representative has answered their call and returned to help them. He will remind them of their source in divinity, and of their kinship, brothers all. He will place before them the choices for the future and exercise his right of counsel. He will outline the steps towards a better life for all, a life more in keeping with the spiritual nature of man. He will teach and lead, and thus change the world through the actions of men. At first, progress may be slow as men grow accustomed to the benefits of change, but in due course the pace will quicken until all is caught up in a ferment of change. Naught can stop this process, for it finds its origin in the mind of God. Naught can for long resist the magnet of God's plan. Without doubt, the greatest hindrance to the plan's successful working is the present insecurity of men. They see around them a hostile world, feel threatened on all sides by penury and want. The nuclear threat hangs heavily over all. The counsel of Maitreya will show men that they have nothing to fear but their fear, that a blessed future awaits men if he will but act in his own best interests, that the intention of God is man's greatest good. He will show that men must act to create the world they want, that he comes not to save, but to point the way. He will empower all who take upon themselves the burden and joy of service. He will anoint all who share his burden. The upholders of the old sense the danger, but fight a losing battle. They seek to strengthen the walls of their citadel in vain. Their ramparts weaken as the tide of justice turns. Their buttresses betray them as men strike out for freedom. Into this turmoil Maitreya has come, to put his divine resources at the service of man.